Hello, and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni. This is Danny, and we have an exciting show for you today. We're going to be talking about the format channels in human design. We've been mentioning them a lot recently and kind of explaining them in little bits and parts and little touches. So I'm really excited to have an entire episode focusing in on these.
Each time we've touched on them, it's been, the same thing. We mention them and what they are, and we go over certain aspects of it. Now we're going to focus in on why format and back into the aspects, sort of re-clarify and sharpen in on things we've done before.
Perfect. So thank you to everyone who is watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thanks for being here with us and helping us grow and develop all this time. It's really exciting. So let's get into it. So here we have our format channels, which are basically the three channels that go from the root center up to the sacral center. These are distinctive energies fueled by the root and guided by the sacral's response. They exert a powerful influence on all other channels in the circuit and on one's design as a whole. Format channels set the pace and structure for how energy is expressed through the body graph.
Yeah, so these formats, they guarantee that a certain way will be further clarified inside the circuitries of which they format. It's basically a way to further add some borders and boundaries to the various circuitries that clarify them even further. And as we get into each channel, you'll see why that's true. If you have a format channel or even format gates in your body graph, they are coloring and formatting every other activation you would have within that same circuitry, just period. And it's a guarantee of that. No other set of gates does that.
That's really cool. Yeah, I feel like the format channels, it's like they lay the foundation for the circuit, right? It's like almost like they each lay their own little cornerstone down for their specific
Very
circuit.
much so, very much so. And as we get through all of them, when we recap and as we go through them, you'll see exactly which ones they do. It's just all the other gates in a body graph in any circuitry, you can relate them to other gates when you're reading for someone. You can bring in their aspects. They can get very profound moments. Oh, I see. These are actions in me, and that's how I am. There's my life force. The format channels, they don't just read in conjunction with, like, I can apply them together. They define, period. And so that's a way to look at it.
That's really cool. It's like the first piece of the circuit. It's like the first little bit of go energy that then it's almost like they set the trajectory.
Indeed, they do.
So here we have the 5342. This is a collective abstract channel and it's connected into the solar plexus, so it's emotional. So the 5342 is the channel of maturation and the design of balanced development. This channel creates cyclical energy flow with clear beginnings, middles, and endings. Cycles can vary in length from minutes to years, and the key is to fully experience each phase before moving on. The 5342 as a format channel teaches wisdom of maturity through experience, to grow by completing cycles, gaining depth and insight that can be shared with others.
Yeah, and this depth and this insight and this sharing, collective circuitry, sharing becomes an imperative, a genetic imperative. The fact that it's in cycles means that everything else in the abstract portion of the collective circuitry, that sensing circuitry, that is going to be in a cycle. I have 6447. As I go through a mental process, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. And it keeps doing the very things that 53 and 42 are foundationalized by. So you have 36, 35, and there's crisis and there's crash wave and there's that is a total cycle, and that guarantees up and down of that particular stream of awareness. It just sort of guarantees it. And the same thing, with everything else on the inside. Your experiences are always in a cycle, and the prodigal will always tell the story of the cycle. It's right. Think about it. I just did all the channels. And so it just guarantees the cycles. Now they're foundationalized by 53 is foundationalized by accumulating the force and adrenaline awareness of movement to move, and the power and adrenalized energy to start accumulate the starting process. So maybe even overdo it. You know what I mean? Because why chance it? There's an experience on the other side of this thing. Just pay it already. But they want double the price. I don't care. It's more than. And so, and then that's 53, the gate of starting these beginnings. And 42 says, I'm going to bring this through the whole maturation cycle right to where you can see something, a conclusion. And it's foundationalized by the first line, which is diversity. Diversity is the first line of yes, diversity is the first line of 42, whereby we started with so much energy. My responsiveness has total diversity. It's a happy, excited responsiveness as itself, because as it responds, it suddenly is picking a trajectory amongst the diversity. And it might have many. But 2 seconds later, it's like, let's add some of this. And 2 seconds later, it might be, let's add some of this, because it's trying to maximize. So this whole process I'm describing keynotes through all the channels and all the gates. If they're an open center, it'll be more intermittent that you experience it, but there it will be, and on and on. And if you have none of the format gates, the whole process worldwide is still working that way. You can still see the cycles. I have my 6447, I don't have either of these two gates, and I have a defined sacral, so I mean, at least it would be, I could sense more of it. But if the process is still there, but if you have it, it's wicked there, and it's there in you as a way. So
Cool. All right. So I want to go through all the channels like bit by bit. So 53, it's starting. 42 is the continuation, the maturation, right? And they're going to like accumulate and build up to mature.
And the expansion of diversity.
Okay, cool. And then the 4629, about this, like the cycle, this on-off cycle. I want to like explain that. So the 4629, go.
29 will start at the bottom of the sacral. So the 29 is looking to start the cycle of yes, whatever, and commitment and perseverance. It's not saying perseverance to like, we're going to tie our shoes. It's saying perseverance to, we're going to go to kindergarten and teach 28 kindergartners how to tie their shoes and watch that whole process start. And now I'll pick up the rest of it when we get there and spend, an hour and a half doing that.
Okay.
So, right.
Cool. And then 46.
And then 46 is, I love myself in this experience. I am here as part of the vessel. I share my love with the children as a best possible empowerment to guarantee movement towards beauty and pretty knots, and knots that they can love too, that hold their shoes, by the way, so they don't keep falling off, and that are nice and tight.
It
And
feels
right,
good in the
more
body
symmetrical.
aspect.
Yeah, more symmetrical than not. And with my fingers, right, watching it now take place in the now. 46 is existential. It's existential. Even though it's experiential, this one is existential, like a individual gate.
Okay,
And then, so that's
13.
13 is the whole experience. I'm not telling the story until the cycle is coming to a close. I'm going to tell the whole process of the whole thing. And so the cycle is, I'm waiting. As my cycle is, I wait for the cycles to conclude enough and the information to have come in enough so the prodigal can now show up and tell what it remembers. And 33, and leave its retreat. So these cats are in a waiting period, essentially waiting to see it has accumulated. Everything wants it to accumulate.
Okay, cool. That was awesome.
6447. So there's a process, guaranteed pressure of confusion. We must confuse. Confuse leads to conceptualization of what if. And what if is the meaning of, like, this is an experience. What if it's great? What if it's greater than great? That's the experience it wants. But the mental confusion process, 64 says, I'm not getting confused unless I'm going to go through a whole maturation process, and I'm going to torture 47 to get there. I know I live with it, and it's unconscious, so I can only see it arrive. And guess what? I'm going to stay with that starting power. I'm giving it to you, baby. It's constant, and you're going to start conceptualizing. You're going to come up with realizations for me. You work for me now, basically. And I want my dues, or I'm going to crack your knees type thing. It's coming. And then
Okay.
47 says, I love realizing. I love it. It's a sheer, this is exciting, except in the beginning when you'd have no idea. And then it's oppressive. I'll never get to the end of it, because 47 feels like the kid that looks at the Rubik's Cube for the first time and watches someone do it really fast and recognizes they don't have a foundation in it and they're just not going to get it. And to then just sit there and look at it, they get 1, 2 squares. And, oh man, it's futile. That's futility is the name of that gate. But because the maturation process must continue, a certain excitement still stays. Mental toy box. Remember, let's put that as an official keynote. Ra has said it enough times anyways. The toy box, folks, he would say. So think it's the name fits. It's a toy. It was fun. It's my Nerf gun, super water charge, man. I can get 42 yards with this thing now, whatever. It's so exciting. And the thing is, the realization is that. And it is the maturation of the process. Each one starts and matures. And it can go either direction, but the head center one definitely is directional. It is the pressure down to the 47, primarily. Then 11 down to 56, right? So the realization came through. The realization is still not all put together. It's like, oh, the idea is the thing that's to be shared of something we can do with it, or something that can be pondered about it, or some other way that an idea might stimulatingly have a new aspect in the Maya, in the tapestry, where suddenly it's a great new idea, hula hoops. Someone did it and made it lightweight. So every kid I'm old, so I remember that time. Everyone in the natural universe had a freaking hula hoops in their yard. You could lose your hula hoop and just like walk 10 feet and there'd be another one to use. So I mean, it's not that much, but close. And so I love my dated examples. I'm going to stop trying to not date it. It's what I
I
got.
love them. I mean,
Yeah.
I play with a hula hoop regularly, so.
So I'm glad it stuck around.
Uh-huh.
So the idea is it has a want. Remember, the fear of 11 is to die in darkness. My idea that just falls into the darkness and is never seen or heard, or this is the process of the left eye and the left ear. It's both. I know the left ear is more in the individual circuitry, but it's this side, and it's a creative side. It's the side that is involved in right-mindedness, by the way. And so there it is. And it needs now to stimulating. The whole seeker, the whole channel of curiosity is about the seeker. And the seeker says, 56 says, I'm going to manifest a ton of words that are going to stimulate you. And that's my shtick. And the older I get, the better I get at stimulating you and finding the right timing to make sure the manifestation can be made impactful and be made into the world finally and share it out. And that idea then gets stimulated out into the world, and that process is hungry to maturate. It's hungry to go through its maturation process. I started the idea from the abstraction in the first place, and now I'm going to finish it through 56, and I'm going to get it out in the world. And that's when the finishing, and by the way, it's just exactly what it says: diversity of idea, right? And maximization of like pouring it out in the world. 53's first line wasn't diversity, it was accumulation. It's just accumulating stuff. It wants more. Give me more gas, more power, just have it ready. I don't care. Just get more, put it there. So are you ready? Go. And if it needs it, it's there. And so 56 and 11 are hungry to start and then finish and bring it. And their shtick is stimulating. Now we'll go 41 up, right?
Perfect.
41 is hungry to have a desire to cling to a feeling. I'm just going to put them together, to speed this up. The 31's, it does love to cling. It's an emotional process. Its fear is of, what is their fear? Fates. Their fear of the fates. Oh, they're afraid like fate's going to get in the way because everything's unknown to them, every last thing. And this crazy root pressure is making me hungry for it. The root pressure, just like the head pressure on 64, is saying, hey, 41, I'm going to give you a little bit, but guess what? My pressure is to contract so that only a little bit gets squeezed out. And if that's a little torturous to you, tough. Gate 30, the clinging fire, clings to that feeling because that's all it got. You know what I mean? Hey, I clung to the little, when we finally got the very first channel changer with TVs and it had 6 buttons on a big box you could press. I think it was 11 or something in the very beginning. That was gold, and we would cling to that. It's mine. No, it's my turn. It's my turn. It clings to it. I want to play it. I can imagine I'm going to find the right TV show. It's so good. No, I want to watch this. It's stimulating me a hunger. Give it to me. The fates are going to get in the way. My sister's going to say, no, it's my turn. type thing, or not. And no, I got it. Oh, this is great. Now I'm in the experience. They hunger to get into it, not to complete it, to get into the experience. This is a split process because 41 up to 35, you need both channels to finish out the process. So its completion of it all would be essentially in 30 would be that it's happening now. And I'm in the thing. The clinging worked. When you cling enough times, you get them once in a while. And that's the juice, right? And then 36, once it's got it, it's like, okay, I got it, but I'm in experience. What am I going to do? What if I don't like it? What if this is no good? I'm in an emotional wave. I've been in an emotional wave since gate 30. I'm going up, I'm going down. I got to start this process, but I'm darn well going to push forward. I have to, because 35 on the other side is saying, come here for completion and progress, my child. You come up here, and I'm just as hungry as you are. It's just that I make it manifest. And then the whole experience worked out. And I snagged the channel changer and I got my favorite show and I watched the whole thing all the way through to the end. And when it was done, just like 35 says, I completed it. I'm all set now. I've been there, done that. I don't need to repeat this, at this time. And now I can say like, oh, I'm emptying out now. I don't need no more. I'm going to wait a while and let 41 contract out another feeling. So the whole process matures on it. Moni, that was tiring. Okay, I was all intense zone, and you're bobbing. It's like, okay, move along. Let's do all of them. And I was like, okay, okay. It's so funny.
I think you could have paused and like gone back and forth. You were on a roll, so I figured I was just going to let you go.
No, it's my Manny Gen way. I love it. It puts pressure. I have open roots, so it always applies pressure that I'm happy to put out. I'm like, oh, I'm pouring it out, and if people know me, they know that's how it comes.
I mean, it was really great. You did really great explaining the whole process. Like that was really cool.
Each one must begin and each one must end, and each one accepts that there is diversity and diversification. Each one accepts that sooner or later the diversity narrows down to a thing within the diversity, or a set of things. And they all are hungry to start gate 41, and they're all hungry to realize 47. Pick a gate. They're all that. So this defines. That's why I now can say this defines. Any other gate, any other channel in that circuitry does not define the format. It doesn't work the other way. This defines that.
That's really cool. I really love how we went through that whole process, how each channel as part of this circuit has that cyclical energy to beginning, middle, end. That was really neat. I've never quite understood the circuit within that framework. And
why fully, and so now this would have been the tantric energy back in the seven-centered being. This would have been squarely, solidly their tantra, and the tantra was, I would consider it a little dulled down compared to what we have it as now, because their tantra would have simply been, let's start. And what beginnings, middles, and ends really describes a sexual encounter, not super duper deep technically, like it's meant to be. And then we got thrown into this nine-centered thing, and we have to go through that whole process you and I just went through in order to fully embody the experience. So it's no longer, half hour and, roll in the hay type thing, right?
mm-hmm.
So I suppose that's an old-fashioned term too, isn't it?
It's great though. I think of Frankenstein, Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein. Oh yeah. Remember? Yeah, that was good. They lit cigarettes.
Uh-huh. Here we have the 63 channel, which is individual knowing circuitry. The 63 is the channel of mutation and the design of initiating and fluctuating energy. This channel operates in a pulse with bursts of energy followed by rest. It's unpredictable, driving sudden transformative change when the pulse is on. The 63 is one of the most mutative channels, bringing new ways of thinking and doing through bursts of inspiration.
It's intense. This whole thing does that, and it's looking to synthesize stuff together. So synthesis takes a lot, okay? And synthesis creates the ordering. It's the foundation of it. But you can't get to synthesis until there's acceptance. We're describing a unique, fickle, individual circuitry dealio. Look at the individual circuitry on the right. It doesn't go up the left side or the right side. It touches all of it. I mean, except the ego, which the centering circuit touches. So technically, we could have that centering circuit in here. If the centering circuit were here, it would touch all 9 centers. Regardless, it goes through everything. You can see it's like the tapestry. This looks like sort of the spine of the body graph of each one. This would be the little string in between each of those beautiful little shapes that's hanging down as a chandelier, and all the other stuff is stuff outside of it and inside of it to make it more ornate. That's what this looks like, because that's what this is. So individual circuitry, uniqueness, period. Uniqueness that shows up in a pulse, in a pulse of timing that is independent of thought. You can't necessarily think it to happen. It's independent of will, making it sort of, it's inspirational. Think of inspiration. It shows up the same way creation showed up. It wasn't, oh, now it is, right? Let there be light. Well, what was before that? I don't know. There was nothing. There was no, oh, now there's light, right? So that's what it is. That's the pulse inside of us. So we don't get to bridle that stallion. She shows up for us, and we wait for it. And the more we wait as ourselves, the better. And the way to understand how to wait for it always and feel good about it and have plenty of stuff to do in between the waiting with all your individual definition is to understand how this circuit formats the process. This informs, this instructs, this defines, this does all of that stuff. I must accept the limitation. The foundation of 60 is acceptance. So first you have a limitation. There's nothing you can do about it. It feels stuck. That's the root center, right? And it's a pressure. It's a pressure that, I mean, it itself knows that it's pressuring your stuckness. If I can give it a voice, it's like, yeah, we got some stuck business to do. No, this guy's thinking he's not stuck yet, but he hasn't accepted the foundation. So he's still stuck. Shovel some more stuckness onto the fire so he stays, if it could talk, it would talk like that. It's keeping you there. That's a genetic proclivity to hold back, like 41 constricts the feeling, to hold back what ends up being the inspiration and 1 and 8, the channel of inspiration, to hold back until truly the sacral can pick up the timing and put it in order. That means I accept my limitation, and the stuckness surrounds limitation. It doesn't surround anything else. It says, oh, you have a limitation. Oh, whatever the limitation is, I can't do this because you're limited. I can't seem to get that done. There's a limitation. Whatever it is, 3 then comes along and says, I put it in order. Why? Because I'm sitting here in the middle of individuality as the prime motor. I have sustainment in my sacral as a keynote. The keynote of the sacral is it sustains with its energy, right? And I'm waiting through the stuckness because at some point, stuckness is something to respond to. That's the magic that happens here. In a timing that's not of our own, that we can't necessarily find, the sacral's like, so the sacral's like the dog at the window, the 3. The 60's not the dog at the window, ready to bark at another dog, like waiting. Like, I'm going to bark at something soon. That's 3. No, I know I'm going to bark. Every day I bark at something. I'm sitting here, I'm poking, because another dog walked by, right? That's when they bark. And that's what they're doing. They are gate 3ing themselves in that moment. So that's what it's doing. The sacral's magic, which is, again, independent of the generator or anyone having it, is the response is what you want. The response is the answer, not what you think first, ever. So sacral shows up and suddenly the stuckness, wait a second, I have a response for this. And that response shows up, and now sustaining energy leads through the stuckness and creates order. When I say instantly, it's not the order that's instantly, it's the capacity that wasn't there before is now instantly there, and ordering is all but assured. Maybe it takes a day, maybe it takes a year, right? Who knows? But to fully put it in order, maybe it takes 2 minutes. Usually the ordering is suddenly in the mind of that being right away. And then the time it takes to implement is the time it takes. So individual knowing that suddenly has order and sustained individual order. And everything I just highlighted and colored out is now going to show up everywhere else, including in the centering circuit.
Okay. So The
That was a
overall,
lot. Sorry, Moni. That was a
no,
lot.
it was fine. It just, I let you go, and then I'm like, cool, what can I wrap it up and like put it into a tiny little nugget? So the overall vibe of this channel for the 63 is like nothing, 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 something.
Something.
Okay. Just to like keep it real, like simple and small. It's the nothing, something, the stuckness of the 60, and then the something and the innovation and the new. And
Innovation. Good word. The innovator. Yeah. Thank you,
okay.
Moni.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for playing with me. So that stuckness, something, something, nothing is the general vibe. Would we be able to go through each channel? You don't have to go crazy in depth, but like,
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to practice it. I'm going to see if I can slow down a little bit because I get hungry like a dog at the window. 3 becomes the innovation from the experience of 60. 60 was the old way, is why it's stuck. The old way's already played itself out. Maybe it's produced abundance galore, but it is still the old way. 3 represents the mutation because it's the response. What does that say? The mutation on the planet is first formatted by a response. Pretty cool. So we want to apply that to all the channels, right? So 14 and 2, I want to get to work, and I want to get to work in a direction that leads to more beauty. Nice and simple. Well, guess what? I'm stuck. What am I going to do? I'm not sure. And 2 is like, hurry up. Time's wasting because 2 understands all directions for the body lead sooner or later to death. It's not infinite here, guys. You know what I mean? There's a time limit. So the parking meter runs out, guys. You ready? I don't want to get a ticket. So that's now in this pulse. So it's stuck, and then ordering takes place, and what happens? They're in a direction. This one's the easiest to understand, in my opinion, in a way. Maybe the logic one will be the easiest to understand, but this one to me is easy to understand. Inspiration. I mean, the foundation of inspiration is inspiration without limitation is in a pulse and independent of will. That's gate 1. That's the foundation of gate 1. Gate 8, it shows up and it is foundationalized with understanding what is it to have the timing that then contributes towards the betterment of group goals. So that's in a pulse, and that is stuck. And the inspiration may very well be there, and the creative of 1 may be chomping at the bit, but it's just not all put together yet. And it's got a good idea of that individual direction of my awesomeness. But the red bow tie isn't enough. I need more. What's the thing? I got to do some stuff. And the next thing you know, I know what I'm contributing. And they bring a paper to the discussion, and it happened to be exactly what was needed, and it provided order to the conference that afternoon. Bam. Like hardcore good. It feels good. There's the contribution. The contribution is meant to bring ordering. And then you go up to, and let's come down. So you're coming down from the pressure into the toy box. This is madness. 61 promotes madness because people try to understand the mysteries that can't be understood, and it can drive a certain amount. So you've got the pressure to like see that we don't know. This is the knowing circuitry after all. So this is the pressure to actually articulate the even question in the first place, or the statement. No, don't know. That's what it is. And it's seeking 24 to help put a rationale to that, bring some more certainty to that, do what the ajna is supposed to do, have a relative degree of mental clarity and certainty. So off it goes, trying to get clear on what it's doing, and it does so by returning and returning, and it's agonizing to the return you have a gate 24, Moni, in an open center, so it only agonizes you intermittently here and there. Or
uh,
you tell me.
my boyfriend has a defined ajna, so it's
Okay,
more often activated, but I feel like my 24 is, I
coming
could
back a
loop
lot.
in things a
Yeah,
lot. I can
but you
totally keep.
see it.
Oh
So
yeah,
it, and
absolutely.
every once in a while you'll reach an obsession point. It's like, oh, dude, I'm not sure what I got to do, but I got to shake this off because you recognize
Yeah.
too much return.
Yeah.
Imagine if you don't know that, you know, you're screwed. Now you think you got a problem. When you don't, you have a process. And guess what? That process is waiting. It's waiting to find order. And when the return returns enough, it serves the function of mental order. Think about when the return is like, aha, it's like a realization. It's like a discovery. It's like all the other stuff, except it happened in a pulse, independent of will. It's not quite up to you. Now, the gate 24 will very much say, oh, that was up to me. I stayed at it and I returned on purpose and I knew I was going to get my man, right? It still didn't show up at your exact timing. It showed up. You just happened to be present to take advantage of that. So good for you. Hope you didn't drive yourself too crazy getting there. So the pressure to solve the mystery through the return. Boom. I must come to order, and I am limited because the mystery is I don't know yet. I don't know. There's the limitation. Get to 4323. I love this one. Structuring. It's in opposition. Lots of people have it, right? And so the next thing you know, 43 is just, it's got the same kind of hunger as a 41 in a way. It's just hungry to get out its insight. It will pour and pour and have a breakthrough. And the breakthrough, because all of the individual circuitry is keynoted with empowerment, just like Gate 8's contribution wants to empower the whole, Gate 43's contribution wants to do the same thing. It's an insight that wants to empower the other and wants to be empowering on demand. 43 doesn't even mind if it doesn't empower the other, as long as what it's got is so juicy that as it walks around, as soon as it recognizes the opportunity, I will empower. You know what I mean? Boom. You know, if you're a generator, that'll be a response. Um, you'll recognize it. You'll see the impact, whatever it is. And so that has to go through a process. 43 is always stuck until it can explain. I don't even need to really explain that much anymore. And when do you explain the timing of that? It's in a pulse. And when is it empowering? When it feels good and you know, and it can be explained and the other can hear it. It's a projected channel. 38, and the struggle. I mean, the struggle has it itself. It just says that the fighter comes out fighting because he doesn't necessarily know what for at first. He just comes out slugging, saying, think of what the fighter does. The fighter pops out, not necessarily with its fists out ready to fight, but it comes out emotionally or spiritually swinging in the whole sense of, I'm not sure of that yet. You're not gonna put that on me because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. And now that's part of their fight. It's waiting for the mutative pulse of the individual empowering process that fights for its purpose. And the purpose is an awareness, and that awareness is afraid, just like 2 is, hey, God, all roads lead to death. And 28's fear is, hey, um, you know, I don't want to I don't want to go through my whole life without a purpose. I certainly don't want it to have ended with my tombstone saying, "Yeah, here's a dude that this guy bit the dust at some point." That's what
He
my
didn't do
tombstone
anything
says.
cool.
He didn't do anything cool, and now he's gone. He died at some point, and here's his gravestone.
Oh
That's
no.
that's
It's the fear.
awful.
Yeah.
The fear is like, don't let that happen, and it speaks to a higher purpose, because the higher purpose of the individual circuitry is to empower the other. That doesn't cost. That's no money. Think of what kind of currency exchange that is. Think of what kind of, you know what I mean? Hey, for every, 1 credit of this, I want $82. That's the exchange rate for this stuff. It's good juice, right? And we could pay in this, by the way. Star Trek showed that that's how it worked for them. And but it's there to empower a thing that ultimately will take a magnetic monopole direction out of the stuckness into ordering of finding the right purpose. And it fought for that. And then we move up to 57. And 57 is like, thanks for fighting for the purpose. And I'm penetratingly aware that that's wicked cool. And I'm going to spit that out now. 57's stuckness is almost always in the now. And it's registered as such. Its fear is of tomorrow. That's how much it wants. So sometimes it just stays now just to avoid tomorrow. If I stay awake the whole time, only right now, there will be no tomorrow. You know what I mean? That would be a not self version of that. But it's penetrating awareness, this capacity to suddenly have intuition that penetrates right to the core of the thing, like a cool, gentle breeze that suddenly fills your breath and fills you. The penetrating awareness to know right now, suddenly the thing that only intuition could have told you, absent the senses. I mean, the senses help because they add to the whole intuition of the moment, but it's still not any of the senses. It's a deeper sense synthesizing all of that. Back to synthesis, of course. So this ends up following that format completely. It's just quicker because here it's already on its way to now. So now it doesn't even notice it's now while it's in its now, gate 20. So when the pulse comes, he's like, this now is like every other now. I've been now the whole time. Oh, good, it's here. Now forgets. Why wouldn't it? Because it's so presently now. And it's so when 57 gives it its pulse of awareness right now, ordering takes place. And once you know, it gets made manifest there in the throat where it's supposed to go. So, and then when we So go up the other side, right?
Yeah, up the root to the solar plexus.
The provocateur, dude, the provocateur doesn't know what it wants. 39. Gate 39 is there trying to like tickle the spirit, flirt with the spirit. Not even flirt. It's what's a word, Moni? It's
The
not flirt.
39 with
Yeah,
the provocation. It's like this like pokey. It's like a
yeah.
little kid, like, hey, 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 hey,
Hey, what's there? Hey,
hey, yeah.
what's there? Hey, are you home? Hey, is Johnny home? Hey, is Johnny home? Knock, knock, knock. Right. That so, and it's constantly doing that to help provoke the spirit of the other, but it doesn't necessarily know. It does it just like, a new fawn that comes out and doesn't even know where it's supposed to look yet. You know what I mean? But yet it's standing on two legs and it can make some basic sounds, fresh out of the womb, but it doesn't know anything yet. So it's 39 is first starts with the provocation of we're going to provoke for no particular reason. I'm awaiting the pulse to give me an awareness to when the spirit is here. So no spirit yet until ordering takes place. And then suddenly abundance. Abundance of this personal type of a relationship where two people empower the other. Two people empower each other. And that's one of our big abundances. And as soon as that happens, ordering takes place. You know what this is? This is very much uh, the first date that led to a lifetime. Ordering took place apparently. 20 years later, they're still hitched. You know what I mean? Pack of kids and they're great type thing. That's that's the prime abundance of all of this. Other abundances, material abundances, safety abundances, all the stuff. Emotional abundance, just generally, emotional clarity as an abundance is what it's after. So a lot of things there. But it wasn't there. It's stuck. 39, 55 are stuck. They're melancholic. They're sad at times because they can't tell if there's enough stuff to hear to feel the passion of what we want to feel, this personal, empowering, hopefully social passion that becomes a contagion ultimately is what they would like. A contagion of two to start. And then when it gets up to, and that's in the same mutative process, can't start. Starts. Dude, that is a date. That is the first date that led to a lifetime. Anyone who's married has had a first date that led to their dang lifetime, right? I mean, basically, suppose there's a few exceptions. And then 1222. So 22 now has picked up all of that knowledge coming from below and all of that awareness and the spirit. The spirit is so important and the possibility for a type of romance and a type of personal closeness to the social structure that I can now be of an impact and be in it because I'm mutative, I'm unique. I can't always be in the social thing. I'm not always a social being. That's what 22 says. So 22, like a good surfer sitting out in the waves who's waiting for the surf, and they got to wait till the timing is just right. 22, it's foundationalized with its sort of backseat ticket, right? It just waits in the background. At first, no, I'll let you speak first. You speak. I want to hear what you have to say. I have the emotional grace to wait and listen to you. Let's because it needs to hear first. Again, gate of the left ear over there. And it does need to hear first, right? And it will wait. And once the emotional clarity shows up, boom, 12 is empowered. 12 is empowered to make manifest what 12's voice is. What is 12's voice? What is 12's voice, Moni? Do you know?
I can if
I
I'm in the
can.
right mood.
I know I can
I know I can if I'm in the right mood.
if I feel like it.
If I
If
feel
I'm in
like
the
it, there you go.
mood. Yep. I know I can. Yep. When are you in the mood? Well, the pulse just came. And ordering is taking place. In this case, the format of ordering is one of the most important ones. It defines the mood because 12 articulates the mood. So I guess ordering took place because Dan's in the mood. You know what I mean? I guess we're going to do that thing. I guess we're going to do the show. I guess we're going to have a reading. I guess whatever the thing for me and for everyone else with a gate 12. And gate 12's in the world. So what's happening now as it relates to all social things. At that time, it's deceiving that this channel is the design of a social being, right? When at the end of the day, it's really only the design of a social being sometimes. Because plenty of times it's the opposite. When I say the opposite, it doesn't mean you're just truly antisocial, yucky, but you're just not available, let's say, unsocial, not there, not in it. The pulse has not brought you there. So this whole creative process takes place in a pulse, independent of will. absolutely formatted by this channel, this channel of mutation, that brings innovation, essentially, the innovators, because it's new. Boom. I think it was something in the space thing that one of the Musk crew was saying something, or like, and the reporter asked him something. He was like, "Well, didn't you think about just take? How about if you just took off the thing and you didn't have the thing? Why are you carrying all that with you?" And suddenly he was like, and mutation took place. Do you remember that clip? It was great. It was Elon Musk, and he went running. He ran away and said, "I'm going to get back to you," because he's a Manny Gen too,
Yeah.
right? So it's that. I wish that was I could have a better example, but it was that. We'll go find it. Elon Musk's realization that the rockets need to go a certain way because of a reporter talk, and you'll find it.
And
And
that
and
sudden knowing that
it's
comes through.
sudden knowing, and
The
it's
nothing, nothing, something.
it's absolutely the nothing nothing something thing, because he'd been around stuck, because he's been wondering what to do with this thing. He's been pondering it forever, until a little kid came along type thing. It was like, "Hey, why don't you just blah blah blah," and it's like unstuck.
Uh-huh.
And again, another empowered him accidentally in a pulse. He didn't know he was going to do that. We have to wait for the magic of light to take over and to happen, so that we don't miss it. And only in our waiting and acceptance, gate 60, of the limitation, because we don't have it yet, that's the limitation. And only in that waiting as ourselves, comfortable, not all anxious and messed up, does then the innovation come through. And gate 3 says it's in order now. It's like you've been waiting weeks and weeks, and then finally someone comes down. So, "Oh yeah, the project, we finished. We finished just now. So it's done. You're ready. Let's go." Boom, from nothing. Now there's something.
Cool. Nothing, nothing, something.
Dude, that's a lot. This format, this stuff formats a whole ton. By the way, centering 3410. I love myself, and I love looking in on myself, and my sacral power can't do anything and look at anyone else, 3410, because it's so powerful that each response I have is first to my favorite thing. If you're a generator, my favorite thing is, who am I? So the responsiveness coming out of 34's power is constantly I. And that's why it's called the channel of, that's why this is the centering circuit, centers us into I, correctly, as a 9-centered being, of course. Remember, the highest use of 34 is for the greater good, right? That's the keynote of the in the heading below the gate of power. So that's what it's doing, right? That's why it doesn't look outward; it looks inward, and that is empowered. That it's stuck. That one's a beautiful one. It's stuck all over the place, and it's hard to say whether it's gate 10 or gate 34. It's either one of them. They have to do it together. Suddenly, ordering takes place between the two of them, and the centering yields satisfaction. And then you get to 25 too, and 25 doesn't know anything, man. It's innocent. It's innocent, awaiting the leaper. And the leaper's like, "This is, I'm going, this is something. It's, oh my God, I was asked to leap, and now I must leap, and I am leaping. And this is a thing. And it seems like bravery, and it is an ego willpower. And it wasn't there. And then it was there. And in that stuckness of between not doing it and doing it came the ordering. Nobody who does the fantastic, brave, ego 51 warrior thing isn't psyched about the brand new ordering that took place when the innocence catches it successfully, and off they go. It's like, yep, boom, that's goosebumps material. That's mystical way stuff as well. That's part of the mystical way of us. So they get it too.
So our final format channel is the 52-9, which is part of collective logical circuitry. It goes up the splenic side. The 52-9 is the channel of concentration and the design of determination. This is logical concentration focused on a single task or goal, requiring stillness and dedication. It's methodical and detail-oriented. The 52-9 as a format channel brings intense determination and focus, establishes patterns that can be mastered and shared, contributing to collective progress.
The collective progress is what's so important. The logical concentration, the focus, the single task goal, but the single task goal includes all of the details. 9 says, "I am the taming power of the small," and meaning I tame the small. And I take the big and break it down into the small and tame that so it can remain big. and logical and in place. Logic wants to throw stuff into the future. The abstract just wants to create it or not, right? You know what I mean? Experience it or not. But this is very, it's concerned with throwing it into the future. We are going to make something that is going to lead into the future. And 52 is an imposed inaction that says, I guarantee you that sitting still is going to actually it's going to bring the capacity of the details to start to make sense. So 52 is that keeping still mountain is temporary self-imposed inactions for the sake of assessment and reassessment. And its first line is foundationalized with think before you speak, wait. And it says the creativeness that comes out of here ultimately is to tame the details. And the format of this whole thing, 52 sits still long enough as an adrenalized process, like the rabbit that freezes. In fact, I believe the juxtaposition of 52, which always takes its name, is these people can be like wicked still, forget to move, just to show how important it is. And that, how would you explain adrenalized lack of movement? Because that's what this is.
Yeah, so I always think of the 52-9, like 52 is like a big eagle that's gliding over a lake, right? It's it's obviously doing something, but it's kind of not doing something because it's gliding. But it's like waiting.
Yes.
It's like almost like a
And those
pregnant.
eagle eyes are focused in on the details and it's waiting. Yeah, right. That's a great analogy. Yeah. And so it's not really doing anything, but it is totally. So I would call this exactly what gate 5 has keynoted in it somewhere. I forget what line. Waiting as an active state of awareness. Waiting as an active state of awareness. This formats that whole process that is throughout much of the logical circuitry. So 52 sits still so that you can focus. 9 is the sacral acceptance of the having sit still means I can focus. Just because 52 sits still doesn't mean 9 is going to focus. The sacral response has to be there. So 52 might be sitting still and have a stillness, a waiting, an active waiting, adrenalized, ready to focus. So the adrenaline is for the focus. The waiting is simply to access the focus. So this formats everything with before there is focus, there is waiting in stillness like a mountain, where essentially a deep contemplation is part of that whole process. Before there is focus, there is waiting as stillness like a mountain before there will be focus and taming of all the relevant aspects. That's what this format channel says. So everything will be tamed into its relevance aspects as an initiating process that starts at the further assessment that takes place in inaction. So part of this channel seems very active, but part of it means inaction as we assess. So
So like,
this is going to format everything else because this says the keynote is focused and concentrated, right? Focused, concentrated, heavy, pulsing energy, not pulsing, but steady energy that is always on to aid in the discovery of the logical process. So I want to start at 58 because 58 is the natural opposition of 52. Can we?
yeah.
58 joy. What is joy's foundation? Love is life. Love is light. Love is everything. The love of the process is so good. What do I know I love? I sat still and I focused, and through the details came the thing I can identify with and share. I can identify and share. This is about the identifying sharing process. And if we're identifying sharing, that's always a logical process because we have to speak in language that the other can understand. Hence the name, understanding circuit. That's what it's called. It's not the knowing. Knowing can't even be understood. It just knows. Doesn't mean it's right. It just knows. Understanding is more likely to be right. I mean, just if you had to take odds, I would say sometimes, because people they confer and they get themselves on the same track and they do share. And the joy is the sharing. So as soon as something's identified and gate 58 picks that up, it's like, oh, I love this. And the joy is at the fact that something is newly identified with or currently identified with or better identified with through, again, a sacral sustained response. All of format says I am let loose into the rest of the body graph through response, not because adrenaline, but through response. So gate 9 tamed, it wants to tame, it's focused. No one can obsess like gate 9. Gate 9 is that obsession gate about the details. Healthy obsession, obviously. You know, I say a person that practices the piano 4 hours a day to be a concert pianist, most people admire that. Oh my God, that's so good. If you look up close to that, that's an obsession. That's, if it were something else, they'd be like, he's obsessed. He needs to see a talk doctor. We need him on lithium or something. You know what I mean? They might say stuff.
Yeah.
But because they're a concert pianist, oh, look at that dude. Watch that guy day in and day out. It's a flipping obsession. So, but the obsession is good. We're nine centered. We want the experience of it, but more we want to share that we identified with it because I identify. We're unique individuated. The first word for all of us is I. It's supposed to be that way. When the rave comes, it'll be we. And we'll see how that works. You know what I mean? That's something brand new. And think it's just a binary to I and we. So I identify. And it's so good. I know that's the voice of 16, but it's the feeling and the joy of 58 because it might get there. And then when it gets to 18, I correct. And all the rest of it now makes sense. Why do you correct? Because of the joy. I don't want it to get wrong. I don't want it to spoil. And when you get to the 48, it's I go deep. Uh, you don't even have to explain that. I go deep. And by the way, there's inaction in the deepness. And I feel insecure about that if I try to make action. And I also get bitter like a projector channel, more so in this gate than almost any other gate in a lot of ways, because I can't seem to put that depth out. And 16 says, yes, you can. I got the voice for it, and it's talented and it's enthusiastic. I enthusiastically identify as the gate 16. So I identify with the hot rod I just built. It took years and I needed, and before I did it, and every time along the way, I had constant assessment and the joy each time I turned the wrench right and it worked. And the joy when that thing got out onto the open road and I corrected everything, nothing was going to get in the way. And I found the depth needed through every manual needed. I found it, and I identified. I was enthusiastic and I did what all of 52.9 demands of all the understanding circuitry. I repeat. I repeat. We are formatted with, and I repeat, because I did it. Again, back to the piano player. He repeats the scales over and over again until they're perfect. This thing loves to approach perfection. And its biggest surrender is to recognize perfection as a rare and fleeting event. Every once in a while, I play a passage of music on my piano and it was perfect. Every once in a while. It's perfect. So the taming power of the small formats all of the channels. So we go to the 5. 5 and 15 is the channel of rhythm, and this is the design of all cells. It guarantees that extreme things get pulled into patterns. It demands all things get pulled into patterns. So now we know that part of 52 and 9 is identifying the patterns and how focused and concentrated. So on my fixed patterns says 5, I'm gonna find patterns and rituals and things that I stick to. And 15 says, well, I'm gonna hand you a bunch of extreme stuff to pack in with all of that to figure out how that fits in. Because I got news for you, the direction of life has lots of extreme stuff. So I choose to make it a vessel gate, and now it's part of what is the vessel of love that empowers direction of the Sphinx in the G center. So you got extreme stuff. So you better go ahead and find a pattern for that because I can't help but to keep giving it. And then you get to the army, 7 and 31, and 31 wants to be influential, but the army first has to feel called and pulled into and have had the right investigation into, getting into pulling people together for, you know, to lead an army, to do the thing that logically brings enough people in a shared event into fruition, made manifest. The influence of 31 that wants to get there is in a focused, concentrated process. It's constantly saying, what is the right inaction of assessment? I must assess, always assessing all of these channels. And then as soon as the assessment as like takes, yes, we are assessing, gate 9 comes in and says, I format you with the taming power of the small. All aspects that are pertinent are now going to be made realized. and pulled together into something logical we can all understand. And guess what? When I do that, it is joy. When I do that, I love to correct. When I do that, I'm enthusiastically spilling out my depth. So the 63 4. So I'm coming down from the head center like we've done before. The pressure is doubt. 63 just says I doubt. I doubt. Why? Because you gave me something logical. And how do I know? Just prove it again. Is that, you sure that's still working? Okay. It worked before. It worked before, but sometimes it doesn't, right? We've had a few snafus. Doubt says, nope, do it again. We identified with it. Let's not mess around. And it's just like a stage play. Has everyone got their lines? Everyone got their, okay, they hum the little whistle before they go on stage so everyone knows what key they're in. You got it? Got it? One more time. Out. Identified so they can have the joy of what the focused, concentrated process produces. It produced the chorus that all the parents are going to clap for, right? And they're going to feel good and they're going to have sang the songs. And it's a physical process. It is a splenic process, proving it's a physical process, by the way. It is very much right now. It very much wants to get into the now, but more than anything, it wants to share the joy of having said, I doubted, but I no longer doubt because the formula keeps working. And then 17 picks that up as a process and focus and concentrates on basically applying the details to it all. And it's funny how we chose to end at the taming power of the small, the gate of, and then we end at the gate of detail 62, which is the preponderance of the small. So on one side, the generative life force says, yep, through reassessment, 1, 2, 3, go. Everything about this is going to tame in all of the stuff, all the details. We're going to pull it in and make it make sense. And we're going to finesse it and repeat it and work on it and logic it and doubt it and formalize it and opinionize it and share those opinions and show up with details and then more details and some textbooks. And you better reference that with the Britannica and you better stay enthusiastic about that. And we want depth, but the depth keeps showing up because we keep correcting the process, little corrections along the way and challenges. And if anyone's got too much authority over that, we'll challenge that too. And it leads to joy, all because of the format of assessment to focus and concentrate and demand that, meaning everything else is going to have the color of this. I define, says 52.9.
Wow. Good job, Danny.
I couldn't slow down anymore. It was no fun.
I know you. I was just let him go.
Yeah, no, it was perfect. That felt good.
Yeah. So
This one seems a little more elusive, I was noticing.
Yes.
60 and 3 was easy. It's like, oh, that makes total sense. 53, 42, that
Beginnings
still,
and endings.
I made wicked easy sense. This was I noticed I was having to get through the language more to bring it in, and it really took till the very end to really wrap it all up.
Yeah. 52 is that assessment and the waiting before diving in to handle the focus and the details. Yep. Format channels, the 53, 42, the 63, and the 52.9. They provide an energetic pulse of transformation, driving cycles, mutations, and focus through the root and sacral. Gate 53's sparking of new beginnings, Gate 60's breaking through limitation, and Gate 52's grounding us in stillness. These channels shape how we flow with life's rhythms by honoring the root's pressure and the sacral's creative life force. We align with our design's deepest potential. Embrace your format channel's unique beat. What rhythm will you dance to in your journey?
Hopefully you dance to this rhythm, and if you have gates or channels in this spot and in this area of your body graph, allow them to be true. Don't try to overdo, run over them and treat them just like anything else. I have gate 9 and gate 60 in this configuration here. So there's 6 gates. I have 2 of them. I understand it. So I lose friends if I obsess too much, and I still obsess too much because I have to. It formats my now. It formats everything. This is here. When I wrap all this up, the format channels are so important as they define, they color in, and they add structure and border and guideline, in a sense, to the rest of the circuitry, to what shit applies. And that's a guarantee, and that's a mechanic, and you can take that into every last reading you have for others and stuff. or you should not, you can, you need to take it into every last reading you have with the other when you read for others and so forth.
Yeah, it's like these format channels lay the foundation for the circuitry that they are a part of. They're the cornerstone. They're that first oomph. They lay down the trajectory and where like almost like the inertia is going to go.
Hmm.
And just imagine.
Like, yes. What is that word inertia? Why'd you use inertia? I mean, it just came out, right?
Yeah, I was trying to think of something that's like, again, it's like laying the foundation, but I said that a few times. So I was like, what other analogies can I come up with for laying the foundation? So it's like the cornerstone. And then I thought trajectory, because trajectory is like this movement gets going and then it keeps going. And then inertia kind of felt related to that. It's that continuing energy that's going through that starts off with that root pulse, that adrenalized pulse, that sacral response that's like, yeah, I'm into it, creative life force, go. And
Hmm.
then that inertia carries through the rest of the circuitry.
Yeah, and it's wicked interesting to recognize how there's a huge mixing bowl here, right? Because it crosses over in the sacral. So it creates a vortex. When you cross over two streams, you create a spin, at least if you're on a planet with gravity that I'm aware of. That includes electrical fields too. It's not just water in your toilet bowl or sink that spins when it drains. And so this creates a spin. And the thing is, it moves up. Its very first motion, its very first mandatory motion, isn't anywhere else in the circuitry but to the tantric channels we're about to move into. So the format of the new tantra is what we'll be talking about next, apparently. These create a law. Follow them, obey them, know them, love them, be good with them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Danny. Thank you to
Mhm.
everyone who is watching. If you're getting anything out of this, do us a favor, like, subscribe, join us. We do this all the time, and we love nerding out about human design and doing these study sessions. So thanks for
Moni,
being part of it.
they're getting stuff out of this. They can't help it. We're putting forth world-class information. I mean, it's as deep as it gets. Between you and I, we know we're here. I've done this forever. I know this is incredible information for the world. This creates a record, as
Yeah,
far as I'm concerned.
I just love our deep dive study sessions.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's bringing out it, making it even better.